I do have to be mindful of the way that she's walking. So Uma's tendency when she walks is that she wants to walk like super, super slow, and that's not really helpful. So what you do want to think about while you're walking your horse is that you get them marching forward, and you want to feel that your horse is swinging through their back. So you want to feel that your horse is walking like a runway model, where they're really moving through their hips. Hello, in this video we are talking about 3 exercises that are great for horses that are a little bit older. This is Uma here, and she's getting up there, but there's something so wonderful about horses as they get older, because they become so generous and such schoolmasters that they really allow you to focus a lot on your position and to build your confidence, especially if you're a new rider or if you're needing to build back confidence after a bad experience. That said, we really want to work them and ride them in a way that makes them last for as long as possible. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 3 good exercises to do with your older horse. Let me know in the comment section how old is your horse, and I'll also post in the description box some additional exercises that can help you. So the first exercise, which is probably no surprise to you, is lots and lots of walking. Walking is a really great way to get both you and your horse warmed up. One of the benefits of the walk is that it's a gait that technically doesn't have impulsion. So because there's no suspension in the walk, it's a 4-beat rhythm. There's always 1 foot on the ground. That means that it's not as much wear and tear on your horse, and it's also not as much wear and tear on you. I would recommend walking your horse, especially if they're older. If you can walk for 15 minutes before you start trotting, that's the best. With an older horse, the more that you can just keep them moving with gentle motion, the better. Now, with Uma here, I do have to be mindful of the way that she's walking. So Uma's tendency when she walks is that she wants to walk like super, super slow, and that's not really helpful. So what you do want to think about while you're walking your horse is that you get them marching forward, and you want to feel that your horse is swinging through their back. So you want to feel that your horse is walking like a runway model, where they're really moving through their hips. So I'm going to give her a little kick. No, not trot, but swing there. That's her walk. So you can see the difference now versus the beginning. And it's really important, since we're using the walk as a warm-up exercise, that we want our horses to be swinging and moving through their whole body. If you can, just allowing your horse to walk on a loose rein, at least for the first 5 minutes or so, that's a really great way to just let you and your horse get warmed up. And while you're walking, check in with your position. So get your eyes up, stretch up through your upper body, lengthen through your lower leg. Like I said, one of the advantages to having an older horse is that you get to focus more on your position, since your horse is more confirmed in what they know. So the second tip, after you've done, I would say do 5 minutes of walking on a loose rein. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start taking up the reins and just walk some gentle serpentines with your horse. So you can do serpentines all the way across the arena. You can do shallow loop serpentines. What you're thinking about in the serpentine, and I'm going to let her still kind of be stretching down like this for now. That's fine. But as I'm working on my serpentines, I'm starting to think about lateral suppleness, and that means bend. So as I'm turning on the loops here, I would like her to be bending from her poll to her tail. And we want our horses to be bending equal in their body, that they have the same amount of bend in their neck as they do through their spine. So the aids for asking her to bend as I'm walking on my serpentine is I'm pushing my inside leg on. So your inside leg is the primary bending aid. So as I go through the corner here, you'll see right leg, right leg, right leg, and you see her move over and go a little more into the outside aids. Once she moves off the inside leg, then my outside rein and leg guide her onto the next touch point. And now I'm going to go the other way. So I'm going to push her off the left leg and move her into that right rein. And now she's bending around the left leg. Good girl. So this is, you can think of this as stretches for your older horse. And as we all know, as we get older, we start to feel, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit stiff in the morning and I need more time warming up. So do give your horse a nice, long, slow, gentle warm up, and incorporating serpentines and circles and bending lines. That's really going to help them to get warmed up. Good girl, mama. Good girl. Good girl. And then keep checking in with your position again. So after your serpentine, check your position. Good girl. Okay, so we've done walking on a loose rein. Tip number 2, we've done walking some serpentines. The third thing is that when I start out in the trot, I let her trot a little bit slower and smaller. So Uma here, she's got still a pretty big fancy trot in her. But since she's a little bit older, I really want to give her that time to just start out in a little bit of a slower, smaller trot. And I let her stretch a little bit down in the trot to start with. But I just think about steady tempo, steady contact, as long as your horse is in front of the leg. So as long as you don't feel like you're having to kick your horse all the time, it's okay to let them start out in just a little bit of a slower trot. Good girl. And another thing I want to point out is that for older horses, very tight turns are hard on them. So with Uma, when I start her out, I start out with more straight lines in the trot, diagonals, and I just let the trot be very normal, very small. Again, because I really want her to have the time to get the blood flowing, to stretch through her body and her top line before I add the gas, right? What you don't want to do with an older horse is you don't want to start out working on extended trots and 10-meter circles. That's not a recipe for success. So I'm focusing on my breathing, steady tempo, steady contact. Check your position again. Good girl. That is, like I mentioned, if you have an older horse, there's no excuse. You've got to be focusing on you, focusing on your position. Your horse knows their job. Uma is a FEI schoolmaster. She knows her job. So I just have to give the right cues, and then she does the right thing. Good girl. Good girl. Nice and steady. Good girl. And then normally what I do is I give her another walk. Good girl. Good girl. So really the best recipe for success with your older horse is lots of walking, lots of walk breaks where you do a little interval and then you give them a break again. And then let them start out a little bit slower and smaller in their gaits before moving on. So the rest of my ride for her would be, I would probably take her up in the walk again and do some leg yields in the walk. Then I would do some trot, canter, trot transitions and start putting her a little bit more together and asking her for a bit more. But just listen to your horse. Be really aware that they need extra time, especially as they get older. And that said, consistent work is better than them just standing around. So there's days that you may just get out and you may just walk your horse and you may just do serpentines at the walk, and maybe that's all that you do. You don't have to drill your horse every day. You can do a lot with your horse at the walk, and especially as they're getting older, we want to do less pounding on their legs and do as much as possible on the walk. So I hope you like this video. Let me know in the comments how old your superstar is. And older horses are wonderful. They're a gift, but we do want to take care of them so that we can preserve their soundness for as long as possible.